I never thought a simple message could shatter everything, but that evening it did. My phone buzzed with a notification that sent a cold spike right through my chest. It was from Jamie, my best friend since high school, but the words that followed weren't hers. They were from someone else, someone I wasn't supposed to see. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen, disbelief and confusion swirling in a storm inside me. Jamie and I had shared everything for years: secrets, dreams, late-night talks, and countless inside jokes. Our friendship was supposed to be unbreakable, a fortress against the world. But as I read that message, I realized how fragile that fortress actually was. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath my feet crumbling away, and I didn't know if I could hold on. The message was clear. Jamie had been hiding something from me, something big. It wasn't just the words, it was the way I found out, accidentally, through a thread of texts between her and someone else. The betrayal stung sharper than I expected. I sat frozen on my couch, the room suddenly feeling suffocating, the walls closing in like they knew the secret I was now forced to carry. For hours that night, I went over every conversation we'd had in the past weeks. Had she been lying all along? Was there a version of Jamie I didn't know at all? I tried to piece together what I'd missed, searching desperately for clues in memories that now seemed tainted. The image of her smiling at me was suddenly cracked, like a shattered mirror reflecting a stranger's face. The next day I couldn't bring myself to see her. I avoided our usual hangout spots, ignoring calls and messages. Every time my phone lit up, a wave of anxiety rushed through me. I wanted to confront Jamie, to demand the truth, but fear held me back. Fear of what I might hear, of losing the one person who had been my anchor through so many storms. When Jamie finally showed up at my door, her eyes were tired, like she hadn't slept in days. The silence between us was heavy, loaded with words that neither of us wanted to say first. I watched her shift nervously, arms wrapped tight around herself, as if trying to protect something vulnerable inside, maybe even herself, from what was about to come. I couldn't keep it in anymore. The words tumbled out, raw and trembling. "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you hide this from me?" Her face crumpled, a mixture of guilt and pain washing over her features. "I was scared," she whispered. "I didn't want to lose you." The confession hit me harder than the secret itself. It was like she was as broken as I was. We sat down, the air thick with tension and unsaid apologies. Jamie started to explain the reasons behind her silence, the fear of judgment, the pressure she felt to keep everything perfect. As she spoke, I realized how much she'd been carrying alone, how much pain she'd buried deep beneath her usual bright smile. It was a side of her I'd never seen, and it scared me. But even as I listened, a part of me was screaming, the part that felt betrayed, left out, and hurt. Trust wasn't just about knowing the truth, it was about feeling safe with someone. And right now, that safety felt like it had been ripped away. The friendship I thought was solid was suddenly on shaky ground, like a delicate glass ready to shatter. We spent hours talking, trying to untangle the web of emotions and misunderstandings. There were tears, raised voices, and moments of silence so deep it felt like the air itself was holding its breath. Every word felt like a step on a tightrope, balancing between reconciliation and collapse. Neither of us wanted to lose what we had, but neither of us knew how to fix it. At one point, Jamie reached out to hold my hand, and I hesitated before letting her fingers close around mine. It was a small gesture, but it carried the weight of all our years together, the good and the bad, the laughter and the fights. It was a fragile bridge, but maybe, just maybe, something we could rebuild on. Still, the doubt lingered. How do you trust someone again after the foundation cracks? I found myself replaying every moment, questioning if I had missed other signs. It was exhausting, a relentless storm in my mind that refused to calm. And yet, beneath the hurt, there was a flicker of hope, a belief that friendship could survive even the darkest storms. That night, as we parted ways, the goodbye felt different, heavy with unsaid promises and the unspoken fear that this might be the last time we stood so close. I watched Jamie walk away, her silhouette framed by the streetlights, and wondered if the path ahead would lead us back to each other or forever pull us apart. In the days that followed, the silence between us stretched longer than ever. Our texts became sparse, our calls unanswered. The distance wasn't just physical, it was a chasm of emotions too tangled to cross easily. I caught myself reaching for my phone to message her, then pulling back, afraid of what I might say or how she might respond. But amid the quiet, I realized that maybe this space was necessary. Sometimes, trust needs time to breathe, to heal in the cracks before it can grow stronger. Maybe the friendship wasn't broken beyond repair, just bruised and in need of gentle care. It was scary, not knowing how things would unfold, but there was a strange comfort in the uncertainty too. I remembered the countless times Jamie had been my rock, the nights she stayed up listening to my fears, the laughter that had filled our rooms until dawn. Those memories were like anchors, pulling me back from the edge of giving up. Because sometimes, friendship isn't about perfection, it's about weathering the storms and still standing together when the sky's clear. One afternoon, a notification popped up, a message from Jamie. Just one line, "Can we talk?" My heart raced, a mixture of relief and anxiety flooding through me. I stared at the screen for what felt like forever before finally typing back, "Yes, whenever you're ready." It was a small step, but it felt like the first breath after holding it underwater for too long. As we prepared to meet again, my mind was a whirlwind of what-ifs. What if the trust couldn't be mended? What if this was the beginning of the end? But alongside the fear was a stubborn flicker of hope, that maybe, through honesty and pain, we could rediscover the bond that once felt unbreakable. It was a chance to rebuild, or to finally let go. Walking toward the cafe where we agreed to meet, every step felt heavier than the last. The world around me blurred as my thoughts raced, each one a question with no easy answer. But when I saw Jamie sitting there, her eyes searching mine with the same uncertainty I felt, all the noise inside me quieted for a moment. It was just us, two friends on the brink, standing at the edge of something unknown. The conversation started slowly, awkwardly, with pauses filled by the hum of the cafe around us. Then, as if breaking through a dam, words poured out, apologies, fears, confessions. We spoke of mistakes and misunderstandings, of pain and forgiveness. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And sometimes that's enough to begin again. I realized then that trust isn't rebuilt in grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It's rebuilt in moments like this, messy, imperfect, and deeply human. It's a fragile thread we weave carefully with each conversation, each honest look, each shared silence. And though the road ahead is uncertain, there's a courage in choosing to walk it together, step by step. As Jamie and I left the cafe, the sky had cleared, but the air still held the remnants of the storm. Our footsteps echoed side by side, tentative but steady. The friendship we once took for granted was no longer unshakable, but it was real, scarred, complicated, and full of the kind of trust that comes from facing the brink and choosing to stay. And so here I am, sharing this story not because it's a tale with a neat ending, but because it's still unfolding. Because sometimes, the most profound journeys are the ones where we don't know what comes next, where trust is fragile, friendships tremble, and the heart aches, yet refuses to give up. That's where we are now, standing on the brink, holding on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, we'll find our way back. Every day since, I've been learning what it means to forgive and to be vulnerable in a way I never thought I could. It's terrifying to open up after the hurt, to say, "I'm scared," and still hope the other person hears you, really hears you. It's messy and uncomfortable, but it's also beautiful in its honesty. This friendship, flawed as it is teaching me resilience and grace in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes late at night, I catch myself wondering what the future holds for Jamie and me. Will we find a new normal, a relationship transformed by hardship, or will the cracks widen until we drift apart entirely? I don't have the answers, but I do know that the choice to keep trying, to keep trusting even when it hurts, is the bravest thing we've ever done. There are moments when I'm overwhelmed by doubt, when the fear of losing her feels like a weight on my chest. But then I remember the laughter we've shared, the dreams we whispered to each other in the dark, the times we saved each other from falling. Those memories are the threads that still hold us together, fragile but unbroken, waiting to be strengthened. I think about how easy it is to judge from the outside, to say just forgive or move on without understanding the tangled emotions beneath. But friendship, real friendship, is never simple. It's a battlefield of emotions, a dance of pain and joy, trust and betrayal. And it's in the struggle that something genuine is forged, something worth fighting for. Sometimes I catch Jamie watching me with a softness that wasn't there before, a quiet apology in her eyes. And I want to reach out, to reassure her that despite everything, I'm still here, still willing to fight for us. Because friendship on the brink isn't the end. It's a crossroads, a choice to either break apart or rebuild stronger than before. We haven't figured it all out yet. There are days when the past shadows our conversations, when the silence between us feels heavier than words. But there are also moments of unexpected joy, when we laugh like we used to, when the weight lifts just enough to breathe again. It's imperfect, but it's alive, and that gives me hope. And so the story continues, a fragile tapestry woven from threads of pain, trust, fear, and love. I share this not because I have closure, but because I'm still walking this path, still trying to understand what it means to trust again, to forgive, and to hold on when everything feels uncertain. It's messy, it's raw, and it's real. If you've ever been on the edge of losing a friendship or felt the sting of betrayal from someone you trusted, you know how hard it is to breathe through the hurt. But maybe, just maybe, you also know the quiet strength it takes to choose hope, to say, despite everything, I'm still here. Because that's where true friendship begins, in the courage to stay, even when the ground beneath feels like it's giving way. This isn't a story with a neat ending or a perfect reconciliation. It's a snapshot of a moment in time, two friends caught between past and future, between breaking and healing. And as I sit here, sharing these words, I'm reminded that sometimes the most important thing is simply to keep trying, to keep believing, even when the path is unclear. So here I am, telling you about a friendship on the brink, because maybe someone out there needs to hear that it's okay to feel lost, to feel hurt, and still want to fight for the bonds that matter. Because friendship, like life, isn't about perfection. It's about the messy, difficult, beautiful journey of learning to trust again.